Okay, so we're picking up on part 2 of rhythm. Remember we said on this last one there were 4 beats in this line. Whose woods these are, I think I know. You see how I'm dividing this line up by syllables. This is pretty easy because all of these words only have one syllable. Whose woods these are. So it sounds weird to do it the other way. I will talk a little bit later about poems that do this a different way and what that means. So let's practice this one. How many beats does this line have? The first one. And sweetest in the gale is heard. Well, let's try to clap along with it. And sweetest in the gale is heard. Let's do it again. And sweetest in the gale is heard. All right, I clapped 4 times in that line, so it sounds like it has 4 beats. Let's try this next one. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. All right, let's read it one more time and get a rhythm with it. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Well, did you hear that I fell into a rhythm there? So let's try clapping along to it. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Okay, so I clapped 5 times with that one. So if I'm looking at these two, I got 4 beats on the first one. I got 5 beats on the second one. That's how we find rhythm. There are names for these rhythms, and they get a little more complicated. But for right now, I just want you to be able to identify how many beats a line of poetry has. Okay, so let's put it all together, and we're going to put it together in a form called a sonnet. So a sonnet is a type of poem that is 14 lines long. It has 3 quatrains and 1 couplet, so 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 2 is 2. If we put those things together, we got 14 lines. The rhyme scheme, the couplets all go A, B, A, B. So A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and that last couplet is G, G. Every line has 5 beats, and then a sonnet has a tone shift. This happens after the second or third quatrain. So you'll hear the author or the narrator talk about something from one perspective, and then he will shift and explain how they feel the opposite way. So let's take a look at one of these. Okay, here's a sonnet example. I've got the rhyme scheme over here, so you can see where the quatrains shift, and you can see where the couplet happens. And let's go ahead and read this one. When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate. Wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, happily I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising, from sullen earth sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. Now, if this is the first time you've read a sonnet by Shakespeare, don't freak out. Nobody reads a sonnet and gets it the first time. And if anybody tells you that, including your teachers, they're liars. So the first thing I want you to look at is just how each couplet or each quatrain here is separated into a group of 4, a group of 4, a group of 4, and a group of 2. Now, when you read poetry, what you want to do after you read this thing one time is say, okay, what does that mean? Literally, how can I translate that? And lucky for you, Mr. Pruitt has done that for you. So here's the modern translation. So we see the first line here. When I'm ashamed of my life and how people see me, I cry about how I'm an outsider. And heaven doesn't even listen to me pray, and I look at my life and hate my fate. I wish I had a better attitude. I wish I looked like that guy or had friends like that guy. I wish I had that man's talent or that man's mind. The things that used to make me happy just make me sad. But then, now notice it says here, but then, that sounds like a tone shift. And over here we had yet. So we've got that tone shift we talked about. But then as I'm hating on myself, I think about you. And then my attitude, like a bird who starts singing when the sun comes up from the ground, starts thanking God. And here's the final couplet. Here's the kicker. Because when I remember you, I feel so rich that I wouldn't trade places with a king. Okay, so if you take this one step at a time,